Good morning. Couldn't get the internet to work. Dark in here. Selena, I need a new agent packet for a friend of Melissa's at 1 o'clock that I'm visiting with.
Okay, I'll have it ready.
Thank you. I was showing at noon and rushing in, but now I don't know how that's panning out. So otherwise, I'll be in. Give it a couple more, another minute. Let's see if anyone else joins. Anyone have any issues? Anything they want to talk about right quick before others get here? Tiffany, how's your lot thing on Euclid, and what is it that your people tend to do there?
The people are me and my husband.
Oh, okay, good.
We're going to build a house.
I mean, have you had any experience dealing with the fine HAHC and designing with committee over there at 611 Walker?
Nope, this will be my first.
What do you want? I mean, a white modern farmhouse at 2,900 square feet?
No, we want actually a house. I'm meeting with an architect tomorrow, so I'll go over it with you. We want a house that looks like it's a bungalow in front and an addition in the back. Perfect. I know that doesn't make any probably.
That, so that's a good thing. You can get that done.
Backwards.
The thing, about and we haven't adopted design guidelines for Woodland Heights, but they use the heights east, west, and south as a guide, but also have recognized that in many ways that was too specific. And so I think that's a good lesson to be learned. But the thing that gets you is, there's a 3-foot side setback in the deed restrictions, but you ain't gonna get better than 5. So I mean, just if you plan on 5-foot setback, then it works. Mm-hmm. The garage, they might make an exception, but they don't. As long as you don't want a mega mansion,
right,
you're going to be fine. And of course, they like the bungalow add-on look, so that's perfectly fine too. It just gets frustrating when they want to manage the design of your windows when you can say, oh, there's 500 of these windows in the neighborhood.
Right.
But they say, oh no, we want your windows to look like X. It can be frustrating, but if you just don't care what your windows look like, then it doesn't really matter.
Right. Yeah, you sound like just like the architects I've been meeting with.
I mean, we've just had, we've done 500 projects with them, and they change again. That everyone in that damn historic preservation office, it's a revolving door for 26-year-olds who just got their MBA in historic preservation. They live in an apartment for $900 a month. They've never, had a mortgage, never built a house, but they think they can design yours. That's what gets frustrating. And then, like I say, whatever they did last month doesn't mean they're going to do it this month. And what they certainly did 4 years ago doesn't mean they're going to do it again. But I mean,
yeah,
people design houses just fine. So it sounds like what you want can be just fine,
Yes, I've been told since we're going in, the design that we're going in with, they're going to be a little bit more happy about that. And I was also told add a couple things that we'll know they'll say no to, just so they feel good about.
Give them something, right? Damn, I mean, just give them a door or a chimney facade or whatever,
Right.
Who's your architect?
We've met with Creel and Brett Zamore.
Yeah, we love Brett. I noticed Brett has a cute project going on somewhere. I drove by yesterday. I think at the corner of Beverly and 12th. Looked like a cute bungalow addition thing or whatever. So Brett does good work. Sam likes to just get in a fight with the historic people. That's, and I think sometimes they just turn down his deals just to try and prove a point to them. But like I say, he's outlasted most of them. So he certainly can design a very nice looking house.
Okay.
If you need any help, let me know.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I just want to general state of the market. Crazy. I mean, everyone that's playing in this arena, you just got to understand we're in a bit of craziness, and we're almost always in a bit of craziness in March. So I think it's I think it's more talked about at the moment, and just because of supply and demand. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, in March, we generally do have bidding wars in 2013 and 2018 and 2019. I mean, we just didn't happen to have one in the middle of a pandemic or whatever, but March is just it's a busy selling season, and it can be very frustrating for buyers. It can be frustrating for realtors, and any number of things. You don't really know how to price something because the market will dictate more than things are worth, because it's just that's just the way it is from time to time. So, you know, if you represent buyers, it can be very, very, very frustrating. If you represent a seller, it's fragile also, because every buyer thinks they're overpaying, every seller thinks that they can get more, and it's hard to get under contract. I mean, literally on 1817 Cortland, we fought over wood filler. We're talking about $30 worth of repairs that we could not agree to. And basically, everyone felt bad. The buyer felt bad that he couldn't get wood filler. And the seller didn't want wood filler. He wanted to raise the price $100,000, which is what they did by, you know, getting this buyer so frustrated that they terminated. I don't know that that's a good strategy. It's just the reality of where it is. So, you know, we're in a pretty precarious, it doesn't last forever. I mean, this too shall pass. If you're a buyer and you can wait, I would wait. Many of them can't. I have plenty of buyers. They're in a rental. You know, the renter's going to jack up, or they have to sign a 1-year lease, and they don't want to move twice, and they're scared the interest rate's going to be 5%. They're willing to pay $50,000 more in order to get out of the hellhole that they're in. Got it. If that's your scenario, then let's go do something. But and same thing, many people want to sell because they think it's at a high. And of course, that forces them to go buy something. So just communication is the key to success here with regard to these sort of things. And like I say, I would wait a little bit. If I had a choice of buying, I think I would wait. And I think by May and June, it will calm down. I think more houses will come on the market. I think the market will settle back down into a balance, but it ain't balanced at the moment. So, but just if you're in the frenzy, join the rest of us. I want to just make sure that we're all going over, you know, how this contract stuff's working. We've all been at it here now for a while, but I mean, I'm sure I think this is working significantly better, where we deposit all the money to the earners and to the title company, and that's where the option fee goes. We're not having to track down people, you know, for a signature or something. But we all get a little complacent, especially on these days and dates and things. And I mean, it's going to catch some people, especially in a very hot market, when the buyer dilly-dallies around and is busy at work and can't make the deposit, and then they're not going to have the unrestricted right to terminate, which now means their earnest money is in jeopardy. So not only are you not getting the right to negotiate for repairs, you're losing potentially a lot of money. And I want to be clear, our response, everyone thinks we're making a lot of money for nothing. That we get rich and houses sell themselves. This is what you're getting paid for. These things, these dates, these deadlines, the sheer honesty of how it works, and getting people to abide by these deadlines really is one of the main things that we're doing. We're not finding houses. Believe me, I'm showing houses every hour, and every one of those houses, my buyer got dinged by Zillow before I knew they were there, and they know it's available, and they're telling me, let's go look at it. So I'm barely bringing anything to the transaction with regards to finding the house. I can determine if the value is good, bad, or indifferent. I can tell them something about the deed restrictions or the historic restrictions. You know, I can tell them something about the neighborhood. But my main objective is to make sure that we meet some of these deadlines, so that I am protecting them, ensuring that they have the unrestricted right to terminate, ensuring that their earnest money is not at risk. And so I want to make sure that we're all reviewing this little page here as quickly as possible and as often as possible. And then when we're in these games, I mean, I'll go back to, you know, the third party financing addenda, because I keep getting these questions. what is it that would make my offer more attractive, or what is it that makes an offer more attractive than another? I would hope that we have enough common sense that if the list price is X and someone offers more than that, if you're not using this form, you're also a bad agent. I want to be as clear as you can. You represent the seller. You told the seller it was worth a price. A buyer is willing to pay X amount more than that. If you're not getting this form signed that says, look, I said it was worth 1.15 million. You offered 1.25 million. Your bastards pay the difference if it doesn't appraise for that. You should be doing this. If they don't do that, they are baiting and switching you. They are con artists who are trying to get the house off the market, knowing that it's not going to appraise, getting you 3 or 4 weeks down into the transaction so that they can negotiate off a significant price point. And there are plenty of agents that go and do this. Hey, it doesn't matter. It's not going to appraise anyway. So let's just offer whatever, keep the other people from getting it. When it goes back active, no one else wants to hurry up and get it because they think that there's something wrong with it, right? So if you have a listing and someone offers more than the list price, you want one of these two things: waive all of the financing provision and the appraisal, which plenty of people can do, especially if they're putting 30, 40, or 50% down. The ratio is going to be fine and the interest rate is going to be fine. Or at a minimum, if someone offers more than the list price, put the partial waiver and they are agreeing to pay the difference in the event that it doesn't appraise. Are we pretty clear how this works? So if you want to make your offer attractive and someone's buying $1 million house and they're putting $500,000 down, check the little box that it's not subject to an appraisal, because it doesn't matter if it appraises for 980 or 1,120,000 or 900. When you're putting $500,000 down, it doesn't impact your loan, your interest rate, or anything of any significance. So to make your offer the most attractive, if you've lost 15 houses, keep talking about option number one. If you're the listing agent and you list something and people offer more than that and they're not willing to do this, I think you should highly advise your clients not to take that offer. It's probably not real, or they're at risk of tying up the house for an extended period of time and it not appraising. And look, these appraisers are not able to keep up. Most of the houses I sell do not appraise. They're pushing the price point. Look, guys, we're pushing it. You look backwards and it's not good. And we're trying to explain things. I never have really liked the way we do this, because if I average the stock market for the last 6 months and I try and buy Tesla stock or Open Door stock or Compass stock, I ain't ever going to get any, because that number is 80% of today's value. It's not an accurate reflection of the marketplace, but that's just the way the mortgage industry handles it. And I can't influence that. I can just educate you. So the fact that it's higher or lower isn't really a factor other than your ability to get a loan. But I think that most people need to recognize in this market, these houses are not all going to appraise. And so what are you going to do when it doesn't appraise? And even our expensive houses, the people buying Harvard for 2.35 million want to finance 90%, because you know what that guy does? Leverage money. That's how he makes $2.5 million. He pays 2.75% interest on $2 million, invests the difference, and earns 8% a month. That's what made him a millionaire. That's so rich people finance high percentages. They just need to recognize that it's not always going to appraise for those numbers, and you just pay the difference and finance what you can. And it's not good to tie up these houses for long periods of time without some understanding of how this works. Yes, Dave?
Bill?
Yep.
Yeah, a question. Can they, the buyer put in 24% down payment instead of 20?
They can put any number on earth. They can put $50, 500, 53%, 53.25%. They put anything. Sure, you don't, I mean, loans, basically, the more you put down, the easier the loan is, so depending on their scenario, many people only qualify for a loan if they put 50% down. So that's just what
does that satisfy the appraisal because you're putting more money down?
what the lender's looking for is the loan to value ratio, and they typically are happy to loan you 80% of the loan to value ratio. So if it is a $1 million loan and you're putting 20% down, they'll finance $800,000. So if the house is 1.2 million and it appraises at $1 million and you're still putting $400,000 down, you have 80% loan to value ratio. It doesn't make any difference what it appraises for if you're putting more money down. See what I understand? So the ratio between what it appraised and what they're willing to finance, the government's backing 80% of all loans that we do anyway. So the only risk is the down payment portion. Some people pay private mortgage insurance, especially on lower price houses and entry level borrowers. That protects the bank. Look, you haven't had a bank fail in 12 years. The reason you haven't had a bank fail, because the government's backed the loans. People have defaulted on their loans, right? People have declared bankruptcy. People have given the houses back. It's just the government has a program that protects the banking industry so that the banking industry doesn't fail, so that you have confidence enough to put your money in the bank. So that's why there's no risk to these people, institutions, for the most part, provided that there's 80% loan to value ratio. So the more people put down, there is no real risk to the lender themselves. They just sell the loan right to the government anyway. And so the government is the only one that had any risk. Did that answer your question? I mean, it's all depending on the loan to value ratio. Anyone?
Yeah, so like a 25% down payment could possibly overcome the.
Depends on the appraisal. If the appraisal's off by 4%, sure, that works. It's just a math game. It's a function of math. You have some other options here too. You can make things more attractive by choosing this other option on these appraisals also. So, and remember, it's taking a long time to get these appraisals. They're not kicking out here anytime soon. Everything takes longer. I mean, honestly, if you haven't played in this arena lately, I mean, everything takes longer. Try to buy a dishwasher. Try to order a gas range. Try to order a washing machine and dryer. You ain't getting a washer and dryer anytime soon. It's the same as a Peloton bike. I mean, it takes a long time to get them here. So surveys take longer, appraisers take longer. Everything's taking a little bit longer because you just have an overwhelming of demand and not enough ability to keep up with it. So things take a little bit longer.
Hey, Bill,
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Bill, this is Dave. Rhonda and I gamed this out yesterday, and I thought it was important to bring up. We got Edgeway under contract yesterday, and I think the only reason is that we were able to use that right to terminate addendum, but using option number 3. The three other offers.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the 3 other options that they had were not including that. They were all based on financing contingencies. But with my client, like you brought up, she's putting so much down, even if the house appraised for $100,000 less, which is what we used in option 3, she was still capable of buying it, and it wouldn't have affected her loan. But as Rhonda said yesterday, I think we're going to start seeing this more and more, and it's just option 3.
Your offer is not going to get accepted in a month like April 2021. If you're a buyer buying something new on the market, you're going to have to find some way to make it more attractive. And look, we talked about this last week. I mean, it's not always just money. It's not $10,000 more, because some people offer $10,000 more and they just asked for $20,000 in the option period. So my sellers of 24th took an offer $10,000 less than the second offer for a number of reasons. But one is because we went back to them and said, look, we're taking $10,000 less. Don't nickel and dime me with little bitty shit. I'm stressed out. I want to move to my new home and I want to make it easy. And as long as it's easy, it's great. And when it's no longer easy, just terminate and we'll sell to the next person for 10,000 more. When you get that many offers the first day, you know you're going to get another offer later. So yeah, I think we need to
Okay, so
what we're doing. Go ahead, Tiffany.
So you said they took the 10,000 less because they put more option?
No, no, I mean, it was the first offer. We had multiple offers. My people were not greedy. We were nervous that the second person was just offering more because they were going to ask for more in the option period. So we went back to the first people and said, look, we have an offer 10,000 more than yours. If you'll just concede that we're not going to deal with little bitty crap in the option period, you deal with that yourself with your $10,000 we didn't ask you to pay, and make our life easier and stress-free, then we will take $10,000 less. And everyone just agreed to it just fine. That's because my people, we put a number, they were happy with the number. We got that number. We didn't, and like I say, many people that offer more on day one expect more. They already feel like they're overpaying, right? So you're paying, you're going to offer 10,000 more. So when you go to inspect, you're going to ask for more than someone else, generally speaking, because you feel like you've already paid 10,000 more. It ought to be perfect. Well, often that is not the best offer to take, because you would rather just do less stuff for people in the event that something comes up on the, you know, like if there was a gas leak and we didn't sell it, we were going to fix that. That wasn't the issue, but we're not going to do little bitty things. If there's a vent pipe that needs painted, paint it yourself. You know, if there's debris under the house, crawl your little happy ass under there and clean it out if you want. It's been there all year. We didn't put it there, you know. So some of those things, the simplicity of it was more important than just the money portion. Many people bid high on the initial offer, telling their clients they'll get them back that money in the option period. Just be very clear that that's a very common thing in our industry.
Okay, well, I just had a client that did bid high, 25,000 more than list, but we also did an appraisal waiver with like a $50,000 swing. But they said the only reason we lost was the other, which I think the other offer was less, but they did a full appraisal waiver. Because they told me we were stronger in every other way except
I mean,
that.
sometimes.
So I don't know. So I'm trying to decide what we should do next. We were also able,
Well,
I have a lender who was able to get a rush order, and we would have had the answer to their appraisal within the option period.
In the option period, just get it not right. Then,
and
then
we
you
wrote
just
that
don't
in
need
there.
the.
We wrote that in there. So I was surprised they didn't take it, because we would have known within option if it was going to appraise or not. And they, like you said, they could have gone right back to market if it wasn't, you know, if we couldn't figure it out, knowing they'd probably get lists with something like they won. That did the one that did win. I don't know.
Subject to the appraisal is a very attractive scenario to many people. Not having to, you feel free to appraise all you want, but it's just not subject to that appraisal. Whatever it is, you deal with it. Is a sometimes more attractive feature to me than more money. Because sometimes the more money gives me a false sense of security. Just because you get a contract for more money doesn't mean you're not going to have more headaches, and they expect more than other people. So, I think it's just pieces of the puzzle. But yeah, I mean, there's no real way of knowing, but I do think not subject to appraisal in a bidding scenario is very attractive. And like for me, based on my experience, and when I counsel my clients, that's more important to me than a few extra $1,000 in almost every scenario.
Okay.
What else we want to talk about today? Anything? Market's very tight out there, all over. I do think the only real bargains are houses that are on the market. And so that's the place to go and look if you're looking for some, a fixer upper, something that's been on the market 90 days. Going to houses that didn't sell last year and looking them up, see what expired last December that's not yet on the market, see if you can get to them before anyone else can get to them. I mean, writing these little letters, you're going to see, in tough inventory times, that's what people do. That's what you're competing with. I don't know much else. Anyone have anything?
Hey, Bill, it's Brooke. I have one more question.
Okie dokie.
My buyer could not get the mortgage for 15th and a half street.
Because
So I've got somebody else coming in maybe today with another offer. What legally can I and can I not tell them about the offer that fell out?
you can tell them anything that your seller tells you, you can tell them, you can tell them. So, I mean, it's really not the agent's role. It's what is it, you know, and when something fails, you got to go back to yourself and say, what are we going to tell people? You know, and usually you just tell people it did not work over the person's individual financing. It had nothing to do with, they didn't even get to an appraisal. It was just the people's financing didn't pan out, which is very common. And we are certainly facing this. Many of high-end buyers, I'm not saying 15 and a half is high-end, have stock options or vested interest. Brandon and I are doing this transaction. You know, my guy basically works for Amazon and he's vested these stock options over 5 years, and you're vested those options as a way to entice you. So his salary's $400,000 a year, but his stock options are worth $2 million a year. Well, Taft doesn't recognize the $2 million worth of vested income from his stock option. So, I mean, we struggle. I have another one, Sean Baker, my other buyers, in the exact same scenario. I don't know who he works for, Tesla or somebody. It's the same thing. They have these guaranteed stock options over a period of time. It was the enticement to get them to come to work. It's like, I'm going to give you a bonus for, you know, $600,000 a year for 6 years, come to work for $400,000 a year salary. And traditional lenders don't like that. We had to go to a private lender, a bank, you know, whatever a normal bank is that services the loan themselves, that don't sell them open into the open market or whatever. And that worked just fine. So people not getting financing. Look, realtors are very hard to finance. Pharmacists are very hard to finance. Doctors who don't pay themselves much salary are very hard to finance. They're not easy. You sometimes need a lender that has a special program for independent contractors, people whose income is based on stock options. I mean, those are just not traditional sort of things that
This girl was
in the wholesale market.
Yeah, this
Right.
girl worked for her dad and they showed her as self-employed, and the dad wouldn't give up his finances to support her loan, and it all just fell apart.
Yeah. I mean, not uncommon. Yeah. You know, not uncommon. So yeah, I would tell people just fell out over financing, which is usually what people say.
But we can tell them what price that contract was for, what she accepted.
If your seller says you can, sure you can.
Okay.
You can say exactly what your seller wants you to say. If last time you took 601,000 and you're just going to tell people we're not taking less than 601,000 and that's what your seller says to say, then great. Sure. You
Okay.
couldn't otherwise tell any of us what it is. I mean, but yeah, even Rutland, I mean, in theory, I can't say that, except now my seller only wants 75,000 over the asking price. So Adriana Banks has it, and it's the same thing. You can ask for whatever you want at 1512 Rutland. If this doesn't work out, I will put it back active and I will raise the price $100,000 and it will be back on the market at 1,250 instead of 1,150. Our strategy look, Nicholas, I don't know if I think he's at the dentist. We had a bet, my seller, what number would we get? And I told my seller, we will get 75,000 over the asking price. And when we got to 75,000 over the asking price, he went ahead and took that offer and didn't shop it for more. That is a strategy. I'm not saying I'm the best strategist out there, but in this market with a house with a pool that's modern, when there's not enough of them and there's high demand, that was our strategy. The strategy was to get into a bidding war and get significantly higher and not have it subject to appraisal. I mean, that was our strategy. Now I know there's plenty of people that want that house. If these people start to nickel and dime us as we end the option period tomorrow, I told her, look, if your people don't buy that, I didn't say it had a brand new roof. I didn't say it had a pool heater. I didn't say the pool was new. I mean, you knew it was a 10-year-old pool. You knew it was a 12-year-old house. You could assume a 12-year-old house is a 12-year-old roof. If you want it, buy it. If you don't, I'm pretty confident in today's market, I can sell that to somebody else who'll take a 12-year-old roof. Otherwise, terminate. I have no doubt I can sell that house. I have no real doubt based on what I saw before. So it's just the level of what you want to do. But like I said, I do think we play the opposite. We did that strategy, seemed to work. I think we'll get out of the option period just fine. But if it's not, maybe I raise the price. And look, I raised the price on 16, 17 Cortland, and I will get more than I would have the year before. It's just a different marketplace. You can get your butt kicked that way too. It doesn't always work, but I mean, I think you just have to evaluate where you're at in the market and what is it that your commodity is. Look, I had my birthday, I needed lemons. You know what lemons are? Damn expensive. If you want a lemon today, you got to, they're 3 for $1. They're not 12 for $1 like I'd like for them to be. We went to 5 stores, they're 3 for $1 if you want a lemon. And that's because there was a freeze. And I guess people are having lemon pie this week. I don't know, but that it's a commodity. If there were a flood of lemons and they were rotting, the price of lemons would be cheaper. But you know what? There appears to be a shortage of lemons. And so the price of lemons went up. And I think some houses in some neighborhoods are just like that. Just a commodity. I showed yesterday at 2409 Inwood, and I am showing a lot in River Oaks of fixer-uppers, bad houses. All of these houses, every one of them 1 year ago started at $3 million, and they're all now at 2.2, and they're barely going to get 2. And they all, every one of them has an appraisal at $3 million. They just leave it right there and they throw it at me. You know what their appraisal was? Their appraisal was before the pandemic when oil was at $60 a barrel and everyone was traveling on United Airlines. That appraisal is worthless because you know what people don't want? Any fixer upper at $2.2 million. They'll just go to Southside Place or they'll go to, you know, Briar Grove and buy a brand new beautiful house for $2.2 million before they buy one that needs $500,000 worth of work on Inwood, for God's sake. I think that house should be torn down. It was poorly remodeled in 1952, much less 82 and 92. I mean, some of those things, it's a commodity that no one wants today. What they want is a nice house. They'll pay whatever for a nice house. They just won't pay whatever for a fixer-upper, hardly anywhere. What else is going on today?
I have one kind of dumb inspection question. Unknown suburban inspector says that the smoke alarms in a condo must be wired in. Is that true now? Has anybody heard that?
Yes,
They
it
have
is
to
now.
be the electric.
Yeah, it is true now. That is the current building was not in place 10 years ago. That is in place today.
Well, yes, but
Brandon
it's
had one
not-
yesterday on.
It's not required that they change the smoke alarms that are in there, right?
Just doesn't meet the code. Plenty of things didn't meet the code.
Sure.
That's not the only thing that didn't meet the
Sure.
code. Yeah.
Amen.
Brandon yesterday on Hederman, they had that the towel bar was not in place and it's a required item. And I can assure you, just because these inspectors say this shit does not make it true. A towel bar is not a required item in a bathroom. You may have a towel bar, but no one is required to put in a towel bar.
This same inspector said that the back door required a screen door, that a screen door had to be added to the back door. So
Just tell him no.
I know, yeah, we got
is not
that.
a true statement.
We got that.
Yeah.
Thanks, though.
I don't understand some of these inspectors, but yes, that smoke detector does need to be hardwired today to meet the code, but plenty of other things in that
Yeah,
condo
but-
did not meet the code.
Correct.
Okie dokie. Any other questions? Okay, I'll be in the office later if you need anything.